Well, hello everybody. This is Dino Mataloni of the all-new look Ask Dino show. Do you want to have a successful indie music career? My guess is if you're watching this show, the answer is yes. Tonight we have one of the most successful do-it-yourself music artists in the country. We have Rich Hardesty from the great state of Indiana. He has sold tons of records, toured the world, been in major films, and has done television and radio shows. We had special gifts for Rich when he arrived at the show with celebrity chocolatier Don Campbell and our show producer David McNeil. Tonight we're going to talk about Rich's 20-year career, how he did it, and a new documentary film being made about his life and his music. We'll talk about his incredible parents that are his backbone and inspiration. So we got the great Rich Hardesty, celebrity chocolatier Don Campbell, the Rock and Music Scene magazine, and a brand new tip of the day. Ask Dino show coming at you. How about a bang?
Welcome to the Ask Dino Show. Hosted by Music BIZ veteran, Los Angeles record producer of the year, Dino Mataloni. With special guest artists performing and answering your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, Dino Mataloni.
He knows. Hello and welcome back to the Ask Dino Show. My name is Dino Mataloni. We're coming live from Los Angeles, California. And tonight we're going to talk about being a very successful independent recording artist. Now, I know a lot of you out there really want to do this, and we've got one of the best in the country. This guy, I've known this guy for quite some time. As a matter of fact, about 8 or 9 years ago, a friend of mine, Darren Weiler, brought him into the studio and asked me if I would do an album on him. And of course, I didn't know him. He was from out of state. I didn't know him. And so we brought him into the studio and we started hanging out and he started playing the songs. We were talking about pre-production and things. And I said, okay, you know, he had a good voice, but it wasn't like American Idol voice or the voice kind of voice. He was a good singer, not a fantastic singer. So I said, okay, we can put together a real strong album. But once I got to know Rich and I got to see how he was and listening to his music, the one thing about Rich is that Rich connects with his audience, and that's what's really important. It's not how great you can sing or how great you can play. It's the fact that you can connect with your audience. I mean, Bruce Springsteen does it. Bob Dylan did it. Not a great singer, but world-renowned. There's people out there that are good singers, but they connect with their audience. Okay, so we brought him into the studio. We did an album called "Don't Worry, Don't Hurry," and Rich loved the band so much that he asked me to keep the band together and go on the road with him back to the Midwest states because he's from Indiana. So we went back there and we toured. Now we did some great things together. We played at the Marat Theater in Indianapolis. We played the Indianapolis Speedway in front of 60,000 people. We played Indiana University, Ball State. So I got to know him really, really good. As a matter of fact, he just asked me to direct a new film on him, a new biopic on him and his career. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, the album was Don't Worry, Don't Hurry. I had such a great time, but what I want to do now is I want to talk about his career. Okay, 18 years in the business. He has done all this on his own, except for the help of his family and his parents, which we'll talk about in the show. He has done over 4,000 shows worldwide. Okay, 4,000 shows worldwide. He has 11 independent albums, 3 music DVDs. He has songs in the movies Totally Baked. And when you hear his music, you'll know why his music is in that movie. And then another movie called 69 the Highway. He has headlined John Mellencamp's 50th birthday party. He was a headline artist. Now, in Indiana, you got John Mellencamp and you got Rich Hardesty. Number 1 and number 2 favorite sons. Fantastic. I loved being back there touring with him, too. It was unbelievable. Also, he was Jägermeister Tour's number 1 artist for 10 years running. 10 years. His music is a cross of rock, hip-hop, and reggae. And I'm telling you, once you hear this stuff, you are going to have a good time. The trick is, he's done it all by himself. This guy has done everything on his own. His name is Rich Hardesty. Rich, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, no problem. Great to see you, Dino.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Now, what I want to ask you first. You're a guy from Indiana. And we all know Indiana's in the middle of the United States. Mm-hmm. No oceans, no islands, anywhere to be found. And you fell in love with reggae music. So tell us why that love came to you.
Well, I love airplanes, so it's not hard to get to Jamaica.
Okay.
I'd go to Chicago, hop on Air Jamaica, and just you're in Jamaica in 4 hours. I started hearing all this reggae music in the background. My first time in Jamaica, I'd go to bed at night, and you can hear the patois and the broken English in the background and all that type of music. And at first it was, it was really weird, and you couldn't sleep. And at first, you woke up kind of, where am I? Off the distance, because there's. And it grew on me. The more I went to Jamaica, I mean, I literally kept going back. I would go alone. I would take my dad, my brother, my friends, my girlfriend. So
you went to Jamaica. You fell in love with the music after you went to Jamaica.
I always loved, Bob Marley and some of that stuff. That was a no-brainer. I mean, even coming out of high school, if you didn't really love the greatest Bob Marley hits, I mean, it makes you feel good. It's all peaceful, positive music.
Right.
So the message was always, I always loved that message. But then I learned there was another side of it. There was so much more reggae coming out of that island of Jamaica. Bob Marley is obviously the figure.
Right.
If you dive in, you find out there's so much more. So the more I went to Jamaica, my Jamaican friends would give me cassette tapes to take home, and they'd say, look at this, listen to this. I'd hear something on the radio, and I'd say, could you record that radio station? And they would record a radio segment in Jamaica from a Jamaican radio station, send me home with a tape, and then I missed Jamaica, so I would start listening to that with my headphones, and it attracted, like, the law of attraction said it, and next thing you know, I'm listening to, Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, Yellow Man, Tyrone Taylor. I mean, the list would go on. I just love Jamaica.
Okay, awesome. Now, the fact that out of your 18-year career, I mean, again, we've worked together. I've already talked about that. We've toured together. I played for you. And I know the attraction that comes to you when you play live. The people that come down and they watch you play. I've seen it firsthand. So obviously there were some record companies and people like that were approaching you. What made you say, you know what, I'm just going to do this by myself? What was that? Why did you go that route?
Like, I didn't feel like chasing a record deal. I read some of the books on how to do it, and it bored me. I'd lay it down, and I started reading books that said how to do it on your own. Next thing you know, some of those authors would fly me into New York, and they would feature me in their books, how you do it on your own.
Right.
The more I did it on my own, the more freedom I realized I had. The more research and homework I did on record deals, I realized that would actually be a bad move. And it wasn't everything. It's kind of a myth. People don't understand really maybe what a record deal is. Maybe, oh my gosh, they got a record deal. Well, maybe that's you're trading maybe that for a little bit of fame at first. But I was just always true to myself and my art.
We got to talk financially here too. Is that you weren't splitting the pie? You were keeping the money, which is another good thing.
Well, I was told I have a friend who did sign a record deal, and they had a hard time paying bills, and it wasn't wrapped up to what it was, like what I said. The general public would think, oh, they got a record deal. Well, that's not always what it could be.
Right.
So
that's a big misnomer, is that people automatically think when you're in a band and you're touring or whatever, and it's like, we gotta get a record deal, and then they get a record deal and they realize,
it's a loan.
It's a loan. Yeah, it's a loan.
Right.
A large loan. They're just big banks, and they loan you money, and you got to pay it back.
Well, one more thing about the record deal thing I just thought of.
Okay.
When you go in a studio with people that you don't know, and where I've been lucky enough to go into studios with people I do know, and to produce people like you who I knew, I think as an artist, are you going to be an artist in the studio from a natural standpoint, or are you going to go in there and be manipulated by putting out a cookie cutter hit?
Right.
What's art? So I guess it comes down to what's your definition of art, and how are you going to lay down the tracks and record it. So that was another big thing that I think.
But somebody like you, because I watched you work, and that is that you are a hard worker, and you have to facilitate. A lot of people think that a lot of people that get record deals, they think they're going to be coddled, and they used to be coddled. And in the 70s and 80s, and even some of them in the 90s, used to be coddled, and everything was done for them. But now, if you do an independent thing, there's give and take. The give and take is that you get your own creative freedom, but you also have to do all the work. You do all the work. You do all the facilitating. I've seen you do it. You fly all over the place. You bring your band with you, or you do solo gigs, and you do this mostly on your own, which I think is incredible. And I'm not just blowing smoke either, because I've known you for a long time, 10 years now. And every time I see Rich Hardesty here, Rich Hardesty here, Rich Hardesty there, and you're constantly going all over the place, and people think that that's all fun and games, and it's not. It's a lot of hard work.
Right. Oh, yes. Very challenging.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so I want to go to a video now. I want you guys to see him performing live now. I remember when we were touring, or when I was playing with him, back in Indiana, we played at a place called the Murat Theater, which is like one of the major venues of Indianapolis, correct? Yeah. Anyway, check this out now. The band was a killer band. And we had a killer band. We had Greg.
Dig Lewis.
Greg Wright.
Mosey.
And you got Mosey's one
John
of the best.
Gray.
Yeah. Yes. And
awesome.
yes. And we had, anyway, We had 2 background singers. Anyway, this is Rich Hardesty live at the Murat Theater. Check this out. Okay, it's time for the new segment of the show. It's called Ask Dino Show Tip of the Day. It's all about the music industry. Check this out. Ask Dino Show Tip of the Day. Check it out.
Dino's tip of the day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ask Dino Show Tip of the Day. Tip of the Day. All right. Today we're going to talk about a successful recording studio session. Preparing and doing the session, okay? It can save you a lot of money. And I'm telling you, if you listen to these things, you'll have a better project and more success. Now, first thing, there's 2 different kinds of projects. There's a solo project and there's the band project, okay? It's completely different, okay? The solo project, pretty much you go in, you hire a producer. Producer takes care of all these different things for you, players, arrangements, working with the engineer, mixing and all that stuff. You pretty much hand your vision over to the producer. He takes care of you. So all you have to do is prepare yourself vocally or instrument-wise or whatever you're playing, and then go into him and he will help you out immensely. Okay, the other kind of project is the band project. Now the band project, you have to do a little bit more preparing, okay? Now we're going to talk about that in a second. But the first thing you got to do is you have to hire the right producer. Now when you hire a producer, you have to go talk to him, and you got to get the right, it's like hiring a doctor or a specialist. You have to hire, if there's something wrong with your foot, you hire a foot doctor. If you're doing hip-hop, you hire a hip-hop producer. If you're doing rock, you hire a rock producer. Don't just hire any producer. You got to hire somebody that does the style of the music that you do. That sounds pretty trite, but I'm telling you, a lot of guys hire producers that have nothing to do with the music that they're doing, and it sounds horrific. Hire a guy that does what you do. Also, listen to his past projects, okay? Listen to what he's done. Don't just let him tell you how good he is. Listen to what he's done. Talk to people that he's worked with. Do all your background checking on him. Make sure that you can get along with him in the studio, vibe-wise, personality-wise. You're going to be under a lot of stressful situations, so it's very important that you guys click together emotionally, okay? It's very, very important. Now, a band project. You have to pick your songs. Make sure your songs, you pick them before you go in the studio, okay? Don't go in the studio and start picking out songs and this and that. Do it before you go in the studio. Also, if you're a band, rehearse in sections. If you're a drummer, rehearse with the bass player. If you're a bass player, rehearse with the guitar player. If you're a guitar player, rehearse with the keyboard player. If you're a singer, rehearse with the background singers. Do all that stuff separately and then rehearse together as a band, okay? I'm telling you, if you do that, your parts will fit together much better, much more syncopation, so when you get in the studio under the microscope, you will be able to play much tighter. It'll be fantastic. You'll save a lot of time, okay? It's extremely, extremely important. Now, getting your gear ready. Get your stuff studio ready. If you're a drummer, new sticks, new heads, get cymbals. You can get new ones, cymbals if you can, but make sure your cymbals are not cracked. Make sure your drum set doesn't have any squeaks or rattles or whatever. Make sure it's studio ready to go. If you're a guitar player, get new strings. Make sure you get strings 2 or 3 days before you go in the studio. Make sure they're all stretched out so by the time you get in there, they don't go out of tune every 5 minutes. Make sure that they're ready to go, new, fresh, but not the day of the studio. Do it 2 or 3 days before. Same with the bass player. If you're a horn guy, make sure all your pads are tight, make sure your horn is tight, make sure your valves don't make any noise, make sure that your tuning thing is all good, make sure it's all ready to go. Same with the string players. Get your strings together, make sure that whatever string instrument you're playing is not noisy, okay? It's extremely, extremely important. Now, practicing with a click. Practice with a click track before you go in the studio. I can't stress how important this is. This is extremely important for timing. Don't wait till you get in the studio and put the click on. If you're a drummer, it'll be horrific. It'll be a nightmare. Make sure you're practicing with that click so by the time you get in the studio, it's second nature to you and you can get that song right on the grid, get all your editing done, and it sounds great, okay? Now, one of the most important things of a session is any successful session, you have to have the money, okay? If you're a self-financed artist or an independent artist, make sure you have your money together, okay? And I'll tell you why. When you start a session, there is a flow and a process, okay? There's a creative flow. You want to keep going on this process. If you have to stop for any reason in order to get more money, it's going to stop your creative flow, and that's not good. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm saying if you can, make sure your money's together so you can do your tracking, your overdubs, your solos, your vocals, your background vocals, your editing, your mixing, putting on the codes on the mixing, the mastering. Make sure you have those finances together so you can keep that steady flow going forward. Now, mental preparation. Mental preparation, the most important thing that I can think of is don't drink and don't do drugs while you're in the studio. And I'll tell you why. All that stuff about getting your freak on and being more creative, that's BS, it's a lie. All it does is make you think you're better, but you're not. And you're gonna have to come back and fix a lot of things. Stay in the moment, stay focused. No drugs, no alcohol. If you wanna do it, that's fine, that's up to you. That's just my advice, okay? Now, after that, stay healthy. Make sure that you get rest. Don't go in and do a long day session and then go out and party and think you're Mr. Hollywood rock star. Go home and rest. Get some sleep. Come back the next day. Hit it. Fresh, clean, boom. Concentrated, focused, okay? After that, be confident. Be confident. Don't go in the studio and be nervous and worried about this and that. Be confident. And how do you be confident? You practice. You get yourself prepared. So by the time you go in the studio, you can do it great. Now, in the studio, you can do it over and over and over and over again until it's great. So there's just you and the producer and the engineer. And that's another point I want to talk about. Don't have a lot of people in the studio, okay? Don't bring people in the studio that are hanging out, talking, distracting you, making you lose focus. It's not a movie or a television show, people. It's very serious business. Get the talkers out of the studio. You, the producer, the engineer, maybe the bandmates, whatever you want to do. That's all you should have in the studio. Okay, now, don't hurry the process. Take your time with it. Do your work, take it home and analyze it. Analyze it at home, don't analyze it in the studio. If you analyze it in the studio, you're gonna lose money and all that stuff, and it'll take too much time. Go home and analyze it, then come back and do your fixes the next day. One of the final things I'm gonna tell you, keep your ears fresh. If you're recording, stay in the studio for a couple hours, then go outside, let your ears rest. If you stay in that studio, you start to lose 3.5K and above, starts to diminish, starts to go. And what does that mean? You're gonna start telling the engineer and the producer, put more high end on because I can't hear the high end, okay? Which is the wrong thing to do because it's false, because your ears you're losing your high end and your high mids. Don't do that. Keep your ears fresh, walk out of the studio, then come back in, okay? I hope you listen to all this stuff. It'll save you money and you'll have a great project. This is Dino Matalone, the Ask Dino Show, and just tip of the day.
Hi, this is Rich Hardesty, always on the Jägermeister Tour, and you're watching the Ask Dino Show.
We'll be right back.
Dino. He knows.
A typical A-Klein day. Davey dropping by after school. Goomba Fred and Marie selecting a favorite piece. Just another A-Klein day. Or was it? It seems that word is getting out about A-Klein Chocolatier.
I wonder what their grandparents think.
And just when you think some people will never see eye to eye, it happens.
Can I help you?
That one.
No, that's my husband. Dead Albert.
I don't think so.
Wait a minute.
For 20 years, A-Klein Chocolatier bringing people together with sweet unity. A-Klein chocolates are all made by hand on the premises by expert chocolatiers, led by owner and celebrity chocolatier Don Campbell. All kinds of chocolates and gifts for every holiday and occasion. They bring people together in some ways you'd never expect. Like I said, just another day at A-Klein Chocolatier, the sweetest of unity.
Bye, Davey.
All people, all ages.
A. Klein Chocolatier in Claremont, California, and Village Candy Kitchen, Oak Tree Village, Yucaipa, California. World-class chocolates and gifts for all holidays and occasions. Order online at aklein.com. A. Klein Chocolatiers and Village Candy Kitchen, the sweetest of the You're watching the Ask Dino Show.
Before we were getting ready to do a film on you. You've decided to do because you've done so many things. You've traveled the world. You've been to a lot of different countries. You've got so much music. and you have incredible shows. You've decided to do and you've asked me to help you with that, and I'm very excited about it. But what I want to know is what is it that you want to show the world about you? What do you want them to see about you, to know about you, why you're doing this film?
I didn't do it on my own,
Right.
but I did say I thought about it, and I refused to do anything conventional. I always want to take the road less traveled and be unconventional, and so by being a musician, thinking about the next CD,
Right.
the freedom of saying, I mean, if I like to travel, so when I travel from Australia to Jamaica, I'm going to these places to get inspiration, because
Right.
I don't know if it's going to be a day later or a month later or a year later, but it's going to come. The things I saw will come back out in the music. So it's just, it's my parents. I mean, I got to be honest with you. When you say I did it all on my own, I'm very big into manifestation and thinking about things. Thoughts become things. I believe we become the things we think about all the time. I mean, I can look back at my 20-year career and I can prove that to you.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because I remember when I was touring with you, you took us over to your parents' house, and was it LaPorte? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was a phenomenal home in Indiana. It was probably the coolest place. I mean, I was born in Chicago and I live in LA, but it was probably the coolest place I've ever seen. It was a big house in the middle of a big cornfield, and you brought the whole band over there. You brought the whole band over there, and your parents were there, your mom and dad were there, and it was like the friendliest. It was something like out of a movie. To me, it was something like out of a movie, because we all went over there as a tired rock and roll band, and your family greeted us and made a big dinner for us. So could you just talk a little bit about I know your dad has gone up to heaven like my mother has. Mm-hmm. And your mother's here. Jackie, hello, are you around her somewhere? Hi. And your son too.
Yes.
Yeah. But can you talk a little bit about your parents and what they've done, what they mean to you, what they've done to you in your career?
They just supported me all the time. I mean, I had a business degree from college. My dad worked in the steel mills
Right.
to pay for my degree, but yet when I graduated, they all drove down to watch me graduate from college, and I didn't go out and get a job because I didn't want to fake my way into a job. I just something inside of me was telling me, I love music, and I wrote a song, and then I wrote another song, and then I just went to bed at night thinking about another song, and I woke up thinking about another song. I had a little tablet by my bed, and I would write the songs. And
Right.
the first CD, and then it turned into 14 records. But that whole 14, it was my parents that were supporting me and bailing me out of, just always being there and supporting me, because it hasn't always been easy,
Right. Well, what's good about it is that I think, as little as I've known your parents when I met them, I think that if they didn't see that you were actually pumping and kicking butt, that they maybe wouldn't have been. They would have been supportive, but they know that what they were doing, that you were out there taking care of business.
Right.
So it was basically a business partnership in a way.
Yeah.
What I want to do now, I want to talk about the movies that you had your music in. Okay. I want to talk about Totally Baked.
Okay.
So tell us how that came about and the whole little story behind that. How did that happen?
Okay. Well, I moved to Hermosa Beach, California, and I heard that a guy from Indiana was running National Lampoon, maybe the CEO or something. So I drove there, and I took the elevator up, and I said, "Hi, I'm Rich. I'm from Indiana." I got my laptop out, and I showed him some stuff I'd done, and we agreed to do a cartoon. He goes, "That'd be a great cartoon, because it's National Lampoon." So I was thinking out of the box. I wasn't thinking singer-songwriter. I was thinking I got some funny stuff. So, and it flew really well. They aired it on a cable, put National Lampoon. Well, then I went back again, and I said, "Hey, I wrote this song. I think you're going to like this one." And he picked up the phone and called the producer of Totally Baked and said, "I got Rich Hardesty in the office. He's got this song. It has to be in your movie." Next thing you know, I'm at a casting call, which I'm not trying to get in movies. I just accidentally end up at a casting call where the guy says, I love that song. I want you in the movie. Actually, I want you to do a couple cameos in the movie with John Oates." And so it was about who you knew. It was like the guy picked up the phone. Next thing you know, I'm at the set, and I'm being filmed with John Oates singing Man Eater with a baby Taylor and a broken arm. I broke my arm and my wrist.
Right.
But at the casting call, he goes, "Are you going to be able to play guitar?" And I lied to him because I still had the stitches in.
Right.
I go, "You better believe I can still play guitar." So in the set, it was painful as you can imagine, but I learned 4 chords on a little baby Taylor just to make sure I could stay in that movie.
Absolutely.
Then they used 5 of the songs, and then I had a couple, one-liners, and my main song was "All My Friends Are Stoners," that they took a liking to, and that was like one of the main songs. And then it ended up Brian Johnson from AC/DC bought the movie, and he released it. So I had no idea at the time it was a different.
So you were actually in the movie too?
Yeah, I'm in the movie too. I'm wearing a Jamaican T-shirt.
I gotta go write that. I want to talk about one of your most famous songs. Okay. I want to talk about a song that whenever I played it with him or whenever I see him play it, everybody in the place knows the words. Everybody sings along with it. It's called "I Never Want to Effing See You Again," and it's basically a song he's been doing forever. But no matter how he plays it, whether it's just himself and his guitar and his harmonica or a full rocking band, everybody loves it. It's basically about a guy that's pretty well mad at his girlfriend. But what I want to know is, I mean, everybody relates. Even the women, women sing along with it. I see women.
Mostly, more than.
Yeah, the women go crazy, and it's about a guy kicking a girl out of the house. So how did that song come about? And tell us a little story about "Never Want to Ever See You Again."
All right, I don't even know if I've ever, I evade it because I'm tired of.
Hey, you must be sick
I
of it.
evade it because
Yeah.
you hear all the time that it was written about somebody, and I always hear that.
Right.
And somebody just the other day, so and so said it was written about them. I'm like, well then. They were 3 years old when I wrote that down. I wrote that about a 3-year-old. Interesting, but no, I wrote it in a dorm while all the other guys went down to get something to eat. I had a 4-track, an X430 Fostex, and I was having a blast. Like, oh my gosh, I can produce and make this song. I had listened to Positively 4th Street by Bob Dylan, so I had that concept in my mind. If you know the song, go listen to the song.
Yeah.
So I just, I knew the chords G, D, A minor, C, which how many songs we know that use those chords? I mean, it's all been done before, right? It's
many.
synthetic creativity, whatever you want to call it. But the words came, I wrote it down, it came immediately, and all these guys came back to my room, and I go, guys, listen to what I just wrote. I just wanted them to laugh. I had no idea it was going to help me run for 20 years on the road, as my Margaritaville, whatever, like Jimmy Buffett stuff. I had no clue. That's not why I did it. It was a complete joke, and I was very happy with the girl I was dating at the time, so it wasn't even about anybody.
So it wasn't even about the girlfriend you were with at the time?
There's been some since
Yeah.
that fit the puzzle.
Oh, we all have that. Yes, we all have that.
But that's the honest truth.
All right, well, let's do this. I want everybody to see this now. We're going to go to a video. We're going to bleep out the bad words, but check this out. Rich Hardesty, Never Want to Effing See You Again. Check this out. It's so much fun. Watch the audience on this, okay? Check it out.
To me and you, it's on page 672, but that's the so what? Never wanna see you again. Always been a bitch since I can't remember when. You take my brain and driving me insane. I never wanna see you funny things again.
See, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Okay, what I want to ask you now, Rich, I want to ask you because there's a lot of young kids out there. I know we may have hit on it. What is the key of the do-it-yourself syndrome? What is the key to make sure you can keep going? You've done it for 20 years now, so if there's no proof there, you are the man that can prove that. What is the key? What is the secret of a complete do-it-yourself career?
Okay. Well, I did it on accident for a long, long time, and recently I'm looking back trying to figure out how the heck I was able to do it. And looking back at it, it's all making sense. So I did it on accident, but really you have to, first of all, you have to be independent of the good opinions of others, and I didn't make that up. That's from somebody I believe name is Maslow. Okay. So look back into the psychology books, Google that. Yeah. But the truth is, you can't care what people say. You cannot live your life for somebody else. So first of all, when your girlfriend says, hey, stay home tonight, when your mom says you don't need to be a rock star, or when society tells you you need to go out and get a real job, first of all, you just need to do whatever you want to do. So you can't, obviously that's a no-brainer. You will get the things that you think about the most. So when I look back at the 20-year career, I got everything that I thought about the most.
Right.
I remember thinking, I have to perform in Australia. Next thing I know, I was in Nimbin, Australia, performing. I remember thinking, I have to have a gig at spring break in Jamaica, when all the East Coast and everybody's there at the same time. If I can play in front of 5,000 college kids that are from all over the nation, then that's it, spring break in Jamaica. So we did Jamaica every year for 5 years. everything I thought about from a high level of intensity. I just didn't half-ass it. It wasn't a hobby. If you want to make music your hobby, then you're going to get a hobby, and you're not going to make any money. It's going to cost you money. But if you decide that that's what you're going to do, and it's all you think about, then this is just stuff Thomas Edison, Napoleon Hill told us way back in the day, but institutions don't want us to know, and they pull this stuff away from us. But so you do have to take the road less traveled, and you have to have the balls to be unconventional and to just refuse to live somebody else's life. You're going to live your life. So that's what I'll tell people, is that you dive in. If you decide you're going to be the best guitar player in the world, then you're going to live, eat, and drink and think it. And that's why Dig Lewis is one of the best bass players in the world, and Greg Wright. So that's the number one thing, is you think about it all the time with a high level of intensity, and you'll get it.
Fantastic point of view. But what I like to say is that you have to do the work. Visualizing, just to clarify, visualizing is not just saying I see it, so I'm going to get it. You have to facilitate. You have to pound the pavement. You have to get out and do the work, or those visions will never come to you in actuality. Am I correct?
Hands down.
Okay, Rich, I can't thank you enough, man. I appreciate you coming all the way from Indiana to be with us, and say hello to everybody back in Indiana, Mosey and all the people. I'm so glad your mom made it here, your son made it here. But I really appreciate you coming down and helping out our viewers. Rich, thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Dino. It's great to see you again.
Man, thank you.
you.
Okay, announcements. There's a new hip-hop radio station. It's on the internet. It's called hiphopnational.com. Now, these guys, if you're into hip-hop, if that's what you do, or actually any other music kind of like that falls in the hip-hop category, check these guys out. Call them. You got Poetic Williams, who's the host of the show. I've called them. I've talked with them. Fantastic people. Lady Di, I'm telling you, it's very, very cool. They are on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 5 p.m. in the West Coast, and 8 p.m. in the East Coast. Great internet show. Check them out. Now, the next show coming up, we have the epitome of a rock star, the blueprint of a rock star. His name is Chuck Negron. Now, because of the generation gap, you may not know the name right off, but Chuck was one of the 3 lead singers for Three Dog Night. They are like a historical rock act. We're talking 90 million records. He's done 2 books. He's been through everything. He's the blueprint of a rock star. You got to check that show out. Okay. Also coming, we have the Chambers Brothers. Now, the Chambers Brothers are one of the first black rock acts ever. And their song called Time Has Come Today has been on every Vietnam movie ever done. These guys are fantastic. They're going to be on the show, too. They're on their way to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Also, check out Rich's movie that's going to be coming out in the following months, okay? And stay tuned for the bloopers on the show because they're really funny. Okay, thank yous. I want to thank David McNeil, our producer, our tech director, Gordon Michael, Steve Van Warmer on the boards in there, Don Campbell, our celebrity chocolatier, Steve Watley from Music Scene Magazine, Jeff Mataloni, our artist back here, Tony Farrell, our phenomenal limo driver, our production assistants, Luke Denny, Cecily Callan, Brandon McNeil, and Anthony Lopez. Please watch the show next time. It's fantastic. This is our family. We love when you watch. We love when you watch. We love when you watch. Anyway, this is Dino Mataloni, The Ask Dino Show, and thank you for watching. Hey everybody, it's Don Campbell, the celebrity chocolatier, and she likes Rich's music so much, she brought down this fantastic chocolates. Look at this. Rich Hardesty, don't worry, don't hurry. I mean, this is the best chocolate in the world. So, Don, how do we get a hold of some of this chocolate?
Well, first of all, I want to say I did see Rich play live, and I'm telling you, there is not anybody's feet on the ground. And actually, your people from Indiana follow you there. I saw a lot of your friends in the crowd. Yeah, it was great. So anyway, you can come see us at A. Klein Chocolatier in Claremont or Village Candy Kitchen up in Oak Glen, California, or just go to akline.com. That's A-KLINE.com. See you there. Did you dork during my thing again?
Oh, I just gotta have something in it.
No.
No, I'm. You know, I hate when you do this. I hate when you do this. I don't like when you do it. Yeah.
Everybody in the next month. What the hell? Perfect.
Oh my God, Don. Jeez. Oh.
What the hell you put in there?
Oh.
Hi, this is Rich Hardesty, always on the Jägermeister tour, and you're watching the Ask Dino show. Ass. He's an ass.
He was that close. That close.
Okay, try
You for real?
Dino, he knows.